Happy Tuesday. We are live here at the studio by Feast It Forward. A slight little bit of a Bottle Rock hangover after all the festivities we had here. We had Cone Brio, we had Royal Jelly Jive, we had Baba Booey stop in from Howard Stern. We had, gosh, a whole slew of people, Chef Hubert Keller. It was a rockin' festival here. They're doing an incredible job. We commend you guys for keeping the music and the food and the giving back here in our community. And I'm back at it again. I'm gonna do a hearty yet healthy dish that my kids will completely love this evening. And speaking of the hangover food and a little bit of grit and fat, we're gonna get right into some bacon right here. And then I'm gonna share a few things with you guys as we progress. We're gonna do some contests. So I want all of you that are watching, or if you're not watching, every single day we do tune in. Please just save it on your queue and watch us sometime later in the week. But like and share our page, and we're going to have our first contest is going to be, thanks to Visa, a $100 gift card. So cash money for whatever you want to do, whether you want to spend part of that at the French Laundry or go buy a new part to your car, whatever it may be. Please like and share our page. Again, we're live here at the studio by Feast It Forward. And we're going to get right into this happiness because bacon is complete. Bacon and butter, right? Bacon and butter are the two best things in life here. And besides that, wine. I like my wine. My father is here joining me in the audience. He's going to enjoy a little bit of wine himself and have a little bit of food afterwards as well. So the studio, I want to talk a little bit about. We had an amazing group of people come in this weekend, and a lot of people from visiting around the country that were in town for the festival that had not visited us here. We are, again, the studio by Feast It Forward, right smack in the middle of downtown Napa Valley, across from the Oxbow. And this is, woo! I don't even have a musician in, I'm already playing. We are all about an experience. We're all about giving back, paying it forward, feasting it forward. Our studio is meant to bring and rally the community and the world together to give back and pay it forward while cooking at the same time. So you can come and enjoy a glass of wine, go live in the studio with us, have an awesome audience in the back here, knowing that whatever you paid your ticket price goes back to a charity that is inspired by the artist here back in the kitchen with me. So speaking of, if you don't have your tickets yet and you're a San Francisco Giants fan, we are going live with the Tim Flannery on June 13th, which is a Thursday. Tim Flannery and the Lunatic Fringe. We are super excited to have him live in the studio with Chef Ken Frank, Michelin star Chef Ken Frank, and we're going to host riffs and recipes, and we're going to raise money for an incredible project that Tim will tell you all about, which is the Love Harder Project, about kiboshing the bullying and all supporting each other and giving hope to raising influences that are growing up and that feel like they need to be embraced and loved, and every single one of us put on our pants the same way. So come to the Love Harder Projects with Tim Flannery and the Lunatic Fringe on June 13th. There are a few tickets left and available. Okay, wine. I'm gonna get into this. I'm getting this very hot, and this is super thick bacon, maple smoked bacon. You could get any type of bacon you want, but not that thin, crappy stuff. We want that really thick, beautiful stuff. And for those of you who have not tuned into my show before, I will say it every time, I'm not a trained chef. I just can cook an awesome meal, and family style is all about bringing your family together in the kitchen. It's not about going home and putting your face to that mobile screen. It's about spending time together. And for me, family style, for my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old, I think it's really important to get them, your kids, those of you watching that have young ones, take them to the grocery store and actually teach them what is in a can, what is off the shelf, what's grown from the ground up and placed on the table. Because the more that they're included in that, I think that it actually, not only is it spending time together, but it's important for them to understand that it's not just Oreos in a bag that are produced from the ground. Now, don't get me wrong, I do buy Oreos. I love me some Oreos, but my girls love cooking in the kitchen with me, and family style is just about that we're embracing family, we're loving one another. I'm always drinking my wine. I think Harlow's first word, maybe, no, Mommy was first word. I think her fourth word was wine. And she does try to steal my glass on occasion, which is very true. But, you know, I have friends that say that they don't, woo! This is when it gets good. That they don't like taking their kids to the store because it causes a scene. Well, my kids still cause a scene sometimes too, but the more that they've gone to the store, they're actually appreciating it, and they're learning about what that radish is on the shelf and what that can is and what that jar is, whatever it may be. Very, very important. So again, not a trained chef, but I can cook one hell of a meal, and I've been very blessed to be cooking alongside you know, a multitude of chefs and musicians, and just through osmosis have learned how to, you know, continue to cook and inspire. So we're going to render this down. And I may have mentioned before on previous shows that I always have, now this is empty because I used it all over the weekend, empty. But I always save the rendered bacon fat, and I place it in here, and I have it next to my stove that I use all the time. I'm not saying that you should cook with bacon fat in every meal, but I am saying that use a little bit of that bacon fat to enhance the flavor of some of your dishes. This is spitting at me, but that means it's happy. So, you know, I ran out this weekend having cooked a few dishes in the studio here with some of the bottle rockers, and now I not only am going to be utilizing this for my dish, but I'm going to be keeping some of that fat on the side to use for future dishes. So today we are going to do a seared scallop and bacon-infused braised cabbage with some greens. My girls love cabbage. They love actually eating this raw. I think it, you know, it's got a really nice crunch. It's high in folic acid. You know, you can toss that in a really lovely salad as well, but I'm actually going to cook this down and add a little brown sugar, balsamic vinegar, of course a little bacon fat, because why not? So I've got, I think, 4 pieces in here. I'm going to let that go a little bit longer. And ask your questions. I've got my handy, thanks to Microsoft, tablet here. Please ask your questions. Let me know what future dishes you may want to see me cook. Once a month, I'll be going live at lunch as well, where you can actually bring in your lunch, enjoy a glass of wine. We're not a restaurant. We can't feed you. We're working on that. But bring in your lunch and network with some great community members. Enjoy a little time with us in the kitchen here. Okay, this is getting close. And again, all of this I'm just going to pour right into this dish. And then that will cool off, and I will end up using that for future dishes. We have some scallops here as that finishes to cook off. Really important when you're making scallops, if the foot is attached, which is kind of that little additional piece that's anchored to the shell, you'll need to remove that, but I had our fishmonger, thanks to Whole Foods, clean that up for me. But you need to make sure that these are dry. You want to place them on a paper towel and soak up all of that moisture, because when I sear these puppies off, I want to get a nice little crisp coat to that. Okay, I think this is getting close. And you know, everybody prefers their bacon differently. I'm going to be crumbling some of this up, so I want to cook this a little bit more than typical. Breakfast, I like it a little softer, but I'm going to make this a little darker. Okay, we're going to set this bacon aside. And then what I'm going to do here, be very, very careful. Make sure there's no water in the dish so it doesn't flame up in your face. And I'm going to leave a little bit in here because I am going to use that for the braising of the cabbage. So I'm going to set that aside a second. So if you leave this overnight, it'll actually coagulate and cool off and be this really gelatinous, beautiful fat and super intense flavor that I will add to, again, a multitude of dishes. I know, I'm getting to you. Hold on. Hold on. It talks to me. So I'm going to set that aside. And then we're going to get into the cabbage, which I'm going to use a little bit. Okay, we have some garlic. And this is my little trick. There's a couple ways to do this. I'll teach you guys a few little tricks, and I did this on a previous show. Oh, I got some little surprise in here. There's a couple ways you can do your garlic. If you don't mind actually cutting off the ends, be careful not to slap it on, obviously, and pierce yourself on the knife, but you can smash it up there. You can throw it in a metal container of sorts and shake it. And it actually nearly removes the whole shell for you, or the rind. So you don't have to smash it. And it's kind of fun. I mean, I have my girls do that in the kitchen with me all the time, and I make them do the shake dance. So there you go, right here. But then you've got to get into it. I'm going to be using, take this to the side here. Obviously make sure you wash this if you're going to make a cocktail later. That would not be a fun surprise to have a garlic-infused cocktail. Or, I don't know, maybe there's a savory cocktail we can make with that. Okay, so in order to get down with this garlic, here's my little trick. Let's see, we're going to get some salt action. Now, the reason I use salt to kind of grind this down is it's abrasive. You want a chunky sea salt, and this is actually going to break down the oils in the garlic. What I'll typically do is actually then smash it on its side, and then you'll see this to start to kind of get yummy and oily and gooey, and the flavors are really starting to come out, smell. So once you've smashed this, and no, I don't have beautiful knife skills, and I don't care, because I'm a mom at home that likes to cook for my kids, and it's not about technique for me. Okay. I'm going to turn this bad boy back on. And so we have a little bit of the bacon in here, right? Then, because I love butter, everybody loves butter. I'm just going to put a little butter in here and turn this on. It's stinging, it's happy. And this is three cloves of garlic. As I have mentioned in previous shows, I have never written down my recipes, ever, and this has been a really fun evolution of what I've cooked thus far over the last few weeks, last few months. Has been a fun process of me not just throwing stuff into the pan. I actually have to stop myself and write it down, because usually at the end I'm like, oh, what did I throw in there? So the last few months, as I have progressed and written down, we're actually compiling all of this. And I will be adding this to the channel and all of our recipes so you too can cook this at home. Okay, we're going to add in, we've added this garlic. I've got, I think what I wrote down was about a cup. And I might not use all of this. I just have the ingredients here. And I didn't know what I was doing until this morning when I asked my daughter, Quinn. I said, what should I do on my show today? And she says, I want fish tonight. So hence the scallops. I thought that I'd do something a little different. They hadn't had scallops in a while. And I realized that not all children eat scallops, eat braised cabbage, but I think my whole entire point of this series is if I was at home, which I will be with the extra ingredients tonight, with my children at the island, they will each have a chair standing up. Harlow will be aggressively picking at the cabbage. Quinn will be playing with the butter. And I think that if they're involved in that, they have become much more used to trying things versus parents trying to hide the fact that broccoli is on the plate and pureeing it and putting it in some BS pasta dish that has to look like it's not green. Again, I feel like it's super important for parents to actually get in the kitchen. This doesn't have to be a nightly thing. When I'm here and I'm not at home, of course, I'm not able to do that. My husband is a fantastic grilled cheese maker. I love you, honey. But I think it's very important to teach your kids appropriate eating, healthy eating, and we're all going to eat bacon on occasion and an Oreo cookie. That's totally fine. We have one life to live, but I think it's very important to get our kids in the kitchen and teach them how to spend time together, not look at our screens 100% of the time, and sit around a table and eat it family style. Okay, so I have the awesome bacon, the garlic, the onion in here. And I didn't use all that onion, so I'll probably have to edit that a little bit. I think I put in about a cup of broth, so I'm going to let this simmer down a little bit so that's about a half a cup. So I'm going to write down, and I might use more, but I'm going to write a half a cup of broth. And then we have the cabbage. So I just cut this in half and carved out just kind of the thicker pit portion. And I am going to just cut this in half and just slice this. And this will reduce significantly down in the pot. These Analon knives are my favorite. They're very, very sharp, so got to watch yourself sometimes. And I like the purple cabbage. I've used green cabbage kind of obviously for St. Patty's Day, did some nice braised cabbage and beef for the typical dish. But for this, I want to use some red cabbage because I'm actually going to add some brown sugar to this. And it's going to be kind of a sweet cabbage. Not a ton, but this is going to be a fairly healthy dish in comparison to, any fried food, right? But there is a little bacon fat in there. I'm going to turn this up. And then once we reduce this and start cooking that off, add that brown sugar, which will kind of, give it a little sweetness. And I know the girls will love this. They've not had this, so I know that they'll enjoy it. So we're going to turn that on a fairly high heat. It smells so good in here. While that's going, I am going to make a dressing. Now, this is not the exact ingredients or I would say amounts that was taught to me, but I learned a very cool lesson when I was at Jacques Pepin's home cooking with Claudine and Raleigh. Hello to you guys if you're watching. That Jacques' tip was he rarely uses olive oil in his salad dressings. And I thought, okay, well that's interesting. And his comment was cream. That cream is half the fat of olive oil. And, obviously if you cannot have dairy, you have an issue with this. But in using cream in replacement of the olive oil. And I thought that was genius. And it is so tasty that I rarely actually use olive oil for my salad dressings anymore. Make sure this is on. So let's try this out. And this thing is pretty cool if you're not a fan of actually making a dressing and whipping it in the bowl. Analon has this neat little dude, which I'm still getting used to learning, but it actually emulsifies the dressing for you and even has some cool recipes on here. Okay, so I actually did plan what I thought this would taste like or what I should use. So we'll see what this tastes like, and then I'll try it and see if I need to add anything to it. So I have 3 tablespoons of champagne vinegar, and I've got, I think, about a tablespoon of shallots. Shallot is just, in the onion family, and I cut this off camera because, I'm so used to cutting onions now. They don't make me cry anymore, but a shallot, whew, my mess. I was like Tammy Faye Baker when I was cutting this earlier. I was everywhere. All right, and then we've got some mustard, which this should be interesting. So I've got about a tablespoon going in there. I might add more. I don't know yet. Let's pause that a second. So you can see on the bottom here, it's starting to cook down a little bit, and this will take a solid 15 minutes. Now you could certainly do this in advance and wait for your guests to arrive and reheat it. The scallops take no time, so this could also be kind of like a last-minute thing you do when your guests arrive, or with the girls, as I will tonight, feeding them at the table together as a family. And I'm not going to add any additional salt until I taste it, since I added that salt kind of grinding down that garlic. So that's getting high heat here. So let's see. I'm going to put this broth in here. I might use some of that extra. And I'm going to add about a half a cup. again, have no idea if this is the right quantities. I continue to mention I never measure things. I always do it by sight and feel and taste. So I'm just going to stir this baby up. But the coolest thing about using the cream for the dressing is not only is it half the fat, but it's just really light and beautiful in flavor. It's just, you can add a lot less when you're coating the dressing. Ooh, so this thing is cool. I haven't used this before. I love it. Thank you, Annalyn. And I might have to shake this bad boy up. It comes with an actual top, too. So, and I assume I will probably add some pepper to this, too. But for those of you that like ranch, I mean, it's a really creamy texture. I don't know if Jacques would approve, but that's pretty good. So super simple. You have champagne vinegar, garlic, Dijon mustard, and cream. That's it. I will add some pepper to the actual greens themselves. But yeah, I would say that's, I think, pretty good. So I can't recall. I think I did a half a cup of cream, so I need to write a half a cup of cream on there. Woo! Don't you talk back. All right. Half a cup. Half cup cream. Oh, and then if any of you were watching our show with Royal Jelly Jive over the weekend, we introduced our little guys. This is Brad. He's mine, and he keeps me from picking up the wrong glass. Woo! Oop. My father just, came around to here. Why don't you come stir this for me? This is my dad, everybody. If you can see through the smoke, yeah. And you know what, this is interesting. My father has no sense of smell. True story, was born with no smell. So as a child, when he would rip one anywhere in the house and leave the room, he had no idea how foul his gas was. My brother and I, were the one that were left to his demise. But I feel unfortunate for him because when we're cooking really good food, you can taste. I mean, you can taste it, but you can't smell this right now.
Just the tongue works.
Yeah.
Sweet, sour, bitter, salt. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Gas stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, sometimes I wish I had that.
I just came up with more wine.
Yeah. What do you want? White or you want red? Okay. All right. Pour yourself some white. You're welcome. All right. Well, little tidbit of information I hadn't intended on sharing, but there you go. All right. So we're letting that braise up. Okay. We have our dressing done. I'm going to, in a moment, set this off to the side. But before I do, I am going to, let's see, how do I want to do this? I think, yeah. I'm going to add a little more butter. I'm going to have to write this down. Probably about a solid tablespoon. I just licked that butter. Yes, I did. It's good. There's nothing wrong with eating pure butter. And then I'm going to add some brown sugar. I know it sounds weird, but I'm telling you it's going to be good. I am not your French cuisine fancy cook. I like throwing stuff together and making it taste good. And I can tell you that a majority of your children will eat this. Woo! Hopefully you can see me through this. You know, if I turned on the fan in the studio here, it would be quite obnoxious and loud. So, okay, I'm probably going to add I'm guessing about a half a cup there. And I can probably turn this down a little bit. I don't want this completely soggy. I want that a little al dente, you know, having a little crisp texture to it. Oh, yeah. Sorry you can't smell this, Dad. It really does smell good. You see that dark color? It's kind of infusing. So only really a few ingredients here. You have the fresh cabbage. You have the the onion and the garlic and the bacon fat and some butter. If you do not want to use, if you're, say, completely vegetarian, you don't need to use the bacon fat. I love piggy and I love bacon. I love what it infuses and imparts into the dish. So you could strictly use olive oil, you could strictly use butter, or you could use grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil I'll be using with the scallops. So let's try this out. Turning this down. See if we need any more. I think that's almost good. So I think I need to write down. And as you will see, we have added a majority of the recipes onto the site for my show, but I'll be adding this one as well. Okay, so I added half cup brown sugar, and I think I'm honestly going to add a tiny bit more to that. So just a hefty. So this is, I think, pretty perfect here. And what I'm going to do is move this over here. Those of you tuning in, we're doing a seared scallop with a bacon-infused braised cabbage and some greens. Entire point of the show, getting the kids in the kitchen, having a family meal, getting off of those screens, sitting down together, talking about what happened in the day, but also having the kids in the kitchen actually cook with you. I think that it's very, very important to get them to be a part of the experience, from taking them to the store to actually peeling the cabbage and shaking that garlic. So I'm going to set this aside, because what I'm actually going to do is, this is hot, so you're going to hear a little woo. And this is, I'm going to use right back for the scallops. Scallops, love them, love them, love them. I think a lot of people are threatened by them for some reason. And as a home cook, I think that there's so much that people can do. They're just turned off by the fact of taking on something that seems a little more gourmet. This is my very simple and easy way of cooking scallops, and they're quite brainless, honestly. Come on, baby. Yes. And we're going to turn you on medium. I'm going to use grapeseed oil. I have mentioned this in previous shows that it has a higher heat component than olive oil. So, if you're getting this pan super, super, super hot, I suggest, and you're wanting to kind of flash fry or sear something, I suggest using grapeseed oil. And it doesn't impart too much of that heavy olive oil flavor, where grapeseed oil, depending on, it literally is, the pressings of remnants of grape seeds. And our friends at Salute Sante have a multitude of varieties, from the Cabernet to the Chardonnay to the Pinot Noir, which it does impart a different flavor, like you drinking a Sauvignon Blanc or a Cabernet or a Cab Franc, whatever it may be. So you could do a grapeseed oil tasting and actually taste the difference between all of them. But I'm just going to use their cold-pressed general olive oil, or grapeseed oil, excuse me. Okay, we have the scallops here. They're dried, super, super dried, to where I took them out of the fridge and I've soaked them. I don't mean super dried. I mean in regard to they're not sopping full of any extra juice from the bag at the seafood monger. And I'm just gonna add a little pepper, Wasn't that Saturday Night Live? The pepper. I think it was. And then I'm going to take some salt and just going to turn these guys over. Now, I think most kids, if you're going to do this with them, would love to actually play with these little guys, and assuming the hands are washed, and actually salt and pepper them. That's, my 2-year-old loves to do that, but then she kind of gets a little crazy with the salt on occasion, and she's been fired. So I have to kind of, calm her with that because I don't want much salt, too much salt. But I think anybody that likes fish, as long as you're getting it from the right source, will love scallops. And this is just super simple. It's just, we're going to salt and pepper these. You can hear that, if you can't hear it, well, the grapeseed oil, I think, is getting there. You can see it bubbling up a little bit. And no, not quite ready yet. That's the last thing I want to do, is actually put it in the oil when it's not actually ready to go, because then it's just going to sit there and soak in all that. So let that heat up a little bit. And then we've got the bacon over here we're going to chop. We have the cabbage reserved there. We've got the dressing. We're going to splash those greens a little bit. It's getting close. Let's see if anybody is, whoop. I don't want to do that. We're live here. Ask away, questions, anybody questions? 8 comments. Travis Thompson, I don't know what you're laughing about. I don't know if that was my dad and his gas, possibly. Tom, yes, you should be hungry. Oh, what kind of mustard, Travis? It is a Dijon mustard. And yeah, you don't want to use the Gold's yellow mustard, okay? You want the Dijon mustard. Okay, now it's going. If you're looking at this, you can see kind of it parting like Jesus' ways on the pan. It's very hot. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, sizzle, sizzle. Let's go. It does not need a lot. If you cook the crap out of these, it will be a Michelin tire. But they are quite simple, so just pay attention. You know, if you've got this super, super high heat, I'm just going to cook it for a couple minutes, get that nice sear, and then flip it. And honestly, I probably put in a little too much oil, but it's okay. All right, here's this here. Put the crispy, very crispy bacon here. And I'm all about cleaning as you go in the kitchen and using plates as long as they're clean. Okay, wine. I've been talking a lot. I haven't been drinking much. See, Brad just hangs out on there. Okay, I got my... All right, while those are going, I'm gonna do this bacon and then talk to you a little bit about the greens. Any type of greens. I got some microgreens from Whole Foods and some power greens, which have spinach and arugula and I think a little chard in here. But you could use anything. You could use strictly spinach, use strictly arugula, but I love these greens because they're pretty. So we're going to put that to the side while those guys are searing off. Who doesn't like bacon? I mean, really, there's very few people that I'm friends with that don't like bacon. I love vegetarians. I do. I appreciate you, but I have very few friends that are, and especially bacon, man. This is just bacon and wine and cheese. Whew. I think those are 3 keys to happiness. Okay, you could use as little as you want, as much as you want. I'm just going to cut all this up. All right, so you can see, again, I think I did put a little bit too much in there, but they'll be fine. I think the second round's going to be better, but they're cooking off here, and they're going to take a little bit. So as that's cooking away, I've got the bacon. And please let me know what you want me to cook coming up, or if you have, kids that are picky and you're trying to get them to eat something, I'd love to take on a challenge of talking to my 5-year-old and 2-year-old about how to maneuver into a dish that you can get your kids to eat. I think I'm going to save these to the side. I think I'm just going to cook these guys off. All right, they're getting there. So I have the dressing here. What I'm going to do is with this Just going to add some bacon in here, and I'm actually going to save, let's see. I mean, this is another thing. You want a piece? This fresh bread. I mean, yeah. It's like, oh, I just need some cheese. Okay. I'm going to plate that in just a second. Contest I mentioned earlier. Like and share our page, please. We've got a $100 Visa gift card, thanks to Visa. Flip these guys over. And if I had added less oil in here, it would have browned up a lot quicker, but these are going to taste just fine. And frankly, you know, I might serve the lighter ones to the kids. Okay. While those guys get going. So yeah, like and share our page. Check out all of our events, everything going on at the Studio by Feast at Ford. I've got a bunch of chefs and musicians that are going to be joining us. We've got a ton of announcements coming up. Lots of events we're hosting. We haven't announced it quite yet, but I'll announce it now. Our anniversary party, we've been open almost a year. So on July 21st, which is a Sunday, we're going to have a big party here, a bunch of bands, food trucks, lots of wine from all of our vintner partners. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. So if you're local, kid friendly, fairy crafts, chalk, a bunch of fun stuff. Okay, here we go. We're going to plate while that's finishing up. I have this braised cabbage, and what I did with this was a little garlic, a little onion, a little butter, and yes, I did use some of that bacon fat. Not much, but a little bit. And this will sit on the side of my stove, and it will sit for weeks, and I will use a little bit at a time to impart a little bit of flavor. It is my go-to. I don't use it in everything, but okay. There we go. This is my family-style dish. We've got a little bacon-infused braised cabbage. Okay, you've got a little brown sugar in there. I'm going to take these. Where did you go? Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay. Got this salad dressing, right? This is that dressing that Jacques taught me that I'm sure I did not do perfectly in justice to him, but it will taste very, very good. As he taught me, use cream instead of olive oil. It's half the fat. It has much nicer layers and coats the greens much easier. Now let's use this. It's kind of like just a lighter ranch. And honestly, when you taste this and you make this, which I think I added the correct amount, you can put as little as you want or as much as you want. It is not overpowering. It's quite light. It may look abundant in right? And then you got these guys. So yeah, just a couple minutes on each side. I think that if you overdo it, then, as I said, they can get quite rubbery, and they're super simple to cook. I mean, these I could just leave on a little bit more. That I'm actually using a smaller burner for the fact that our camera is right here, but that's fine. These can stay on a little bit longer. Okay. You see those? I'm going to leave those guys on for a minute. Dad, why don't you come up here? Those guys can cook up. So, yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, I think I might just add them right here.
Looks great.
Yeah. Just, yeah, seared scallops, super simple. Nope. Off. This actually was...
Good job, kids.
Yeah, I know. So there you go. Little bacon-infused cabbage there and seared scallops and this tasty little greens with this dressing. My girls actually wouldn't eat this with the dressing on it. They like just eating the greens, but, you know, obviously my husband and I will. Let's see. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's killer.
Yeah?
That is great.
Right? Just light and easy, and it doesn't overpower each other. Tell me how you like the cabbage. Yeah?
That's a 10.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, family style, guys. I mean, I hope you'll keep watching my show. I'll occasionally have guests on, like my father and musicians and actors and friends that are visiting. But this is all about conscious entertaining, getting your kids into the kitchen. I will be taking the extra ingredients and cooking it up with my girls. Let me know what you want me to cook next, or
I'll be here.
if there's a dish that you are having a struggle with your kids trying to eat, you know, I'll probably ask Quinn, hey, how would you like to eat this? And she really, actually, this morning she said fish, and I'm like, oh, how about scallops? She's like, yeah, scallops. So, you know, I hope you'll keep watching us. Come visit us at the studio by Feast It Forward. Please share and like our page. If you don't have tickets to Tim Flannery and the Lunatic Fringe, we're going to be raising funds for the Love Harder Project. That's June 13th. We actually have some other announcements prior to that, but I'm really looking forward to that. Tim Flannery is a legend. We love the guy. He's got an incredible passion project, and we're going to be rocking it out here in the studio. Tickets are $100, and 100% goes back to the cause. So, cheers. We need to get you a Brad or a Chad or whatever. Please like and share, and you can win a Visa gift card thanks to Visa. Ding.
Cheers. This is great. This is really good.